All right, y'all, I'm gonna show you guys how I cook one of the best steaks ever. All right, as you guys know, I do love my steaks, and I'm gonna show you guys how I cook my steak here. So I went to my local grocery store and I bought one of their steaks off of their display case. They actually had a sale going on, pretty much $10 per pound, and I got this guy for about $12. So pretty nice steak here. I believe they call this the Kansas City steak. So it's basically a New York strip with the bone still attached to it here. So, but first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and pat it dry. So you can use just like a paper towel or whatever you want to use, but I just use a paper towel. Get all that moisture off of there, and obviously kind of clean it up a little bit here. So, all right, so there are 3 ingredients that I use for this guy. Let me grab it here. Some salt, black pepper, and garlic powder. So that's all you need to have a wonderful steak. So now I would say this steak is about a good maybe 1.5 inches or so. So a pretty thick steak. So what I'm going to do first is season it here. Let's get some salt going on here. And considering this is a pretty thick cut, I'm going to use a lot of salt here, okay? Because we want it to penetrate into the meat. I like a lot of black pepper, so like I mentioned, be generous with the seasoning. Okay, you actually want to taste some of the salt and black pepper and whatnot on here. So, cool. And then now we go with the garlic powder. Same thing, be generous with it. All right. And then we do have a bunch of seasoning still left on this board here, so we're gonna definitely rub some of that in for sure. Awesome. So now, after you seasoned it, we are gonna wait, all right? Because we want the salt to actually go into the actual meat. So we're actually gonna let it sit for a good maybe 20 minutes or so on here. So so that way everything gets all nice and coated and everything else here. And then all right, so now that your steak has been resting for about 10-15 minutes or even 20 minutes, you see how much moisture has actually gone out of the steak because of the salt. So so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our cast iron pan here. All right, so we're gonna definitely turn it on, let it heat up here. And right now some of the seasoning is off of it, so I haven't been taking care of the cast iron there, but it is what it is. But once that's all heated up, what I actually like to use for my oil is, let me grab it here, this guy. So actual lard, so pork lard here. I just think it gives it a better flavor, and yeah, actually, to me, it seems like it kind of crisps up the steak a little bit more. So that's one thing that I like to use for my oil. So I'm gonna switch it again. All right, as you guys can see, there's Carmen there. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab a spoon, and we're gonna put some oil in there. So Alright, so now the oil is going in there. So we're going to give it a few minutes and we're going to wait until we start seeing it kind of smoke a little bit. Alright, we can see it kind of smoke just a little bit here. Just going to move this guy around. Alright, so now it's time to put in our steak. So now you want to hear the sizzle, alright? Alright, so with the steak like this size, about 1.5 inches, it's gonna take at least a good 4 to 5 minutes per side to get it to medium rare. Now obviously every steak is gonna be different in terms of cooking time, but that's just kind of the general rule that I use is 4 to 5 minutes per side. And with the actual bone itself that's still on here, I'm gonna probably take about 5.5 minutes per side here. So we're gonna let this side cook, and we're gonna flip it to the other side, and I'll show you guys that. And then we're also gonna turn this guy down to about medium, because right now it's actually pretty dang hot right now. So you don't want to burn the steak, you want to cook the steak. So all right, let's take a look. Make sure we got that good crust on there. Oh yeah, look at that. So now we're gonna flip it to the other side. Bam, now that is flavor right here. Once you get that crust on there, Alright, look at the other side there. What a nice crust. Let's cook some of the other side over here, just so it doesn't burn. Alright, we're actually going to turn this down just a little bit more. Yeah, with this cast iron pan, it gets super hot, so you can burn a lot of food with this if you're not careful. All right, flip it. And what a nice color on that steak. And I will be searing that fat cap soon here, so don't worry about that. I want to make sure that the actual steak is cooked all the way through. Alright, so now let's go ahead and sear the little fat cap. So bam, sear that guy real quick. And we're actually going to cook it on that bone too. Get all that fat rendered down. Bam. Alright. Standing on that bone. So the reason why I'm putting it on the bone is right here, right next to that bone, this meat here is definitely going to be more rare than the rest of the other steak, because that bone itself is kind of insulating some of that heat. So it's not going to cook this side here as good. So that's why I'm kind of searing it right onto this bone, so that way the heat can transfer up and actually cook this part of the steak there. So all right. So once that is done, we're going to push it to the side, because now we are going to finish it off with some butter. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn that down to low, because you do not want to burn the butter. So we're going to put the steak on this side here. We're going to grab some butter and put the garlic in here. Alright, do not go cheap on your butter, okay? You want a lot of butter on there. Go ahead and grab our garlic pieces in here. Throw them in there. We'll grab our spoon here that we use to get the lard into here. We're gonna let this butter kind of cook down a little bit. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna be basting the steak with this butter and garlic in here. Now that sounds amazing. So we're gonna let it kind of brown it down just a little bit more, and then we're gonna baste it. All right, so we got some of that butter down in here. So now we're gonna baste this guy. Trick you guys can do too is put the garlic right on top and then baste it with that butter. Alright, so now let's go ahead and flip it over and we're going to baste the other side. Damn, look at that color there. Sorry, I'm doing this with one hand, so it's kind of hard. Man. It'd be easier if I had two hands, so that way I can tilt this pan and I get all this butter coming down. But because I'm only using one hand, it's a little bit hard here, so. Alright, so after that, I think it should be done now. We're going to turn it off. We're going to bring the steak over. Let it sit there. I'm going to clean up this cutting board real quick. And now we're going to let this guy rest. Alright, so we let this guy rest for a little bit now. So let's go ahead and cut into it. Hopefully I did a good job. Hopefully it wasn't overcooked. So I'm going to just cut right down through this bone here. It's looking promising. Show you guys. Bam! Alright, let's cut into it. Oh yeah. Perfect medium rare. Or even medium. Might have had it on there a little bit too long, but still looks good though. Some of the bigger parts are definitely medium rare. Alright, I gotta show you guys. Okay, see that? Perfect. Medium rare. Now, it's a taste test. Cut that guy in half. Ooh, I licked my fingers. That was good as heck. Alright. We're gonna try this piece. Now that's a really good steak. You know what's a good steak? We don't need no sauce to it. I'm gonna finish up cutting up these guys. And then I'm gonna show you guys how I kind of present this. And then we're going to grab the bone. And you guys can see how I mentioned the bone itself. You see how it's even more rare? Because that bone itself kind of insulates that heat. So put the bone on there. And then what you're basically going to do is take all your pieces that you sliced up. And you are going to just put it back to how you actually cut it. I know I ate one of the middle pieces, but I don't think people really care. I would say the smaller piece here, or the end pieces, are a little bit more cooked. That's just kind of the way it goes, especially if you're kind of just cooking over the stove. All right, let me show you guys. Bam! Just like that. That is a perfect steak. And now, like I mentioned, you only need 3 ingredients: salt, black pepper, and garlic powder. And then when you finish the steak off, when you cook the steak and you want to finish it off with some butter and some garlic. Turn that heat down really low because you don't want to burn that garlic. You want that, or burn that garlic or the butter, because you want that butter to kind of turn brown. And that's where all the flavor is in the butter. So once that butter turns brown, that's where pretty much you're going to get the best flavor of that butter. So yeah, so that's basically how I cook one of the best steaks ever. And I would even say this is a lot better than some of the restaurants out there, like Outback Steakhouse, because this is a homemade or home cooked steak. So you can kind of control how you like your steak and whatnot, and kind of put any kind of seasoning that you want on there. But this, in my mind, is the best steak that you can ever eat. So that is it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and stay tuned for my next one.